Guys, in this video I'd like to show you how to set up a MongoDB Docker container, and it is going to be authenticated. And in the first part of the video I'd like to show you how easy it is to set up a MongoDB instance inside a container. It's that really easy. And in the second part I'm going to show you how to set up an authenticated container. Let's get started and let's see what images I've got in my system. So Docker images. So I've got 5 different images, and one of them is a Mongo, and that's the base image that I downloaded from the Docker Hub. So if you don't have that image, you can just do Docker foo and the name of the repository. You can provide a tag if you like, but I'm not going there at the moment. So what I'm going to do is list out all the containers in my machine. So I have 3 containers, container, and one of them is a MongoDB as well. And I'm going to set up a new MongoDB instance called MongoDB test for this video, and the other one is going to be MongoDB auth or something like that. So let's create a container. So the way to create a container is execute a command called docker run, and you can specify the name for that container. It could be anything. If you don't assign, the container will just give a random name, which is not mine. So I'll just call it MongoDB test, and host name, and just call it a MongoDB test. And I'll mention why I use that host name. And we need to map the port, so otherwise it's gonna do the default port mapping. So which I don't want, because I have multiple instances running, or I might. So I'll just use port in my machine 27020. Inside a container it can still be 2717, because it doesn't really matter, because it's going to be a standalone container. So we can just use the 27017. And we can run this in detached mode. So as soon as I execute this command, it's going to run in the background, and we don't have to manually start the container. Other parameter, there's a lot of parameter we can specify in here, I guess, but just I want to be as much simple as I can. So the last thing I have to specify is the Mongo, which is the image name. Okay, so I'm just going to run this and list out all the running containers. As you can see, there's one up and running, the first one, and it's called MongoDB test. Now what I would like to do is I'll jump into MongoDB Compass, and I'm going to connect to the newly created instance, which is running inside a Docker. And let's bring that up. Now if I go in here, I'll just get rid of that password in there. This is a localhost, right? So we don't need to do anything there. So we're gonna connect to Mongo running on port number 27020, and if we connect that, we should be able to get inside there. So this is the list of database we have. It's initially created, so we can add a database if you like. We can just do whatever we want. So as you must have realized that it is not authenticated, right? So I didn't provide any password or anything like that, which is no good. Now if you like to get inside the Docker, we could just do docker execute in my terminal, and the container name. The command that we want to execute is sitting inside a mash. So if we run this command, the program, it's going to give you the shell environment. So let's clear this off, and if we execute a Mongo, because we're inside a container, we can execute that command, and we are connected to the Mongo instance now inside. There's important information in here. As you can see, the second warning says access control is not enabled for the database, which is no good. So we're going to exit out of this. We're going to exit out of the container, and I'm going to clear that off. Right, so this should still be running. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stop that. Well, I want to remove that first, right? But you can't until you stop that instance. So MongoDB, and so I'm going to remove that. Cool. So again, we're back to 3. Now I'm going to create another Docker Mongo instance container, and actually I'm going to set up authentication on it. So the command is just the same. So name, I'll just call it MongoDB auth, and host name is MongoDB auth, and we're going to run on the task mode, and again we need to map the port 270.212. Internal can be the same because it is going to be a new container. And now here's the trick. So we can specify an environment variable here before we execute. Before we we create a container, get inside that instead of an authentication. So this is one of those good things about passing the environment variable straight to the container. So we can execute this environment variables inside. So think of environment variables as a parameter to a function. So the function can be a container, and the environment variables can be a parameter, right? So the first parameter we need to pass is the username. So we need to know what's the environment variable name. So through the documentation, I know that the environment variable name is Mongo initdb, and root and username. Just make sure that you don't miss the spell words. And the username could be just an admin or whatever you like. And we need to pass another environment variable called a Mongo initdb root and password. Okay, and the password I'll just put as password. Cool. Now what we're missing here is the actual image name. So image name is Mongo. That's it. So if you run this command, it's going to run, okay. And over there, so it's up and running. I've got one container running, and it's authenticated. Now let's go back to a Mongo compass, and let's close this off. And it's taking a while. Cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect to the Mongo instance, and the port we're running is 21, right? That's the port that we used, if you remember. So it's running on 27021. I'm going to connect without authentication, right? So as you can see in the top, an error code loading navigation something, and command host info requesting authentication. So we can go back. Sorry. We can just go back, or I think I need to close the whole thing. It's terrible. And what it can do though is this is the same machine, so localhost, and the username is an admin, that's right, and the username is admin, and the password was PASS, the password 827, and we need to change the port, which is 21. So connect that. Cool. So see, you are inside a new instance, authenticated instance of MongoDB. Okay, so that's all been authenticated now. So you can create a user if you like. You can just do whatever you like. You can actually get inside the instance itself. And let's go into MongoDB auth. Okay, and we're actually getting a command, so let's actually go inside the bin. Again, bash. Okay, let's clear this out. Now we're inside a MongoDB auth container. Now, how do I know that? If I clear that, how do I know that? Well, if you remember, I specified the host parameter before, and I specify that name. So that's why it's important to specify the host name. Otherwise, you're going to have a random auto-generated character. It doesn't make sense at all. So it's that important to have that parameter as well, passed in as well. So if you actually do Mongo, I'm inside the Mongo, right? If you remember before, there was like, you know, the warnings and all that stuff about, you know, access control not enabled and all that stuff. So it's all gone. So it's authenticated. Now, to confirm that, you can just do db.auth, and it'll tell you if the authentication is success or not. So the password was BS. So authentication failed, right? So I think the reason is that is we need to use a admin and then db.auth, because I think it internally uses that admin database to hold the credentials, right? So one is like 0 is false, 1 is true. That means you are authenticated. Now you can just create a database or create a user, or you know, you can just do anything. So you can create a collection there. But remember that you are inside a admin, so you don't want to create a collection inside an admin. So you want to switch to a different database. We can do a test DB. Now when you switch, if it doesn't access, it's going to create one, right? Now if you want to show the collections inside this database, there's nothing else because we haven't created one. Now we can create a db.create collection, right? And you can specify the name for that collection. Okay, so test db student collection there. Okay, so if you go show collection, we have a students. You know, there's a lot of things in that. So I'll leave it to you from here. And finally, we have a container Mongo authenticated instance inside a Docker container. And the other thing that I'd like to mention is that if you remember that, you know, we actually use this command to you know, pass in those passing those username and password as environment variables. So if you someone you know get inside your terminal or your computer, and they can actually see the history, or there might be a program that actually extract all your history. So it's not good to actually specify the username and password passed in as environment variable. I wouldn't actually recommend this. So the better way to do this is we can actually create a file. So that's that, and what I'll do is I'll just create a new file called MongoDb auth.txt, and inside there, actually I'm going to type in that environment variable now. So Mongo init db, and the first one is going to be root username. It doesn't matter the order here, I think. So admin, the same thing. Password, just type in a password. Cool, so Mongo init root username password. Okay, so let's actually save that and save this. Okay, now if you go there should be MongoDb MongoDb auth.txt. Okay, now what we can do is I'm going to remove the Docker that we just created, and I'm going to stop that first. Okay, and then I'm just going to remove that. Cool, so let's see that again. So there's nothing in there, and we're going to create a Docker another Mongo instance, right? So actually the same, so everything is the same. Only the difference is rather than specifying the the environment variable straight, we could just do env, so I think env file, I guess, and you can specify the environment file name. So that was in my root, and home, and the name was MongoDB auth.txt. So what it's going to do is I'm going to extract that file and use all those environment variables inside. So if I execute that, now we have another instance. So docker is new instance which is running, and let's see if we can authenticate there. Okay, or we can actually get inside. We can actually see the messages. So IT, and the container name is the same. So MongoDB auth, and the command we're going to execute is bin bash. I think we could just do bash. Okay, so let's clear this all and get some Mongo. So as you can see, that's authenticated, right? Because if I just create a collection there, for example, or I'll just use a database before creating a collection, right? So use admin, sysadmin. Okay, now if I do db.create collection, right? So just naming the test. I'm sure I can't do this. See the command create request authentication, so that's not authenticated, right? So this is working all good. Now we can just go back to compass and create another instance, do that, and we should be able to use the same password. So admin, and the password is same, and the port is the same. Connect that. There you go. So it's all authenticated, right? So there's two ways we can do it. I recommend this way. Specify the environment variables in your file so that you can, upload somewhere else in the server and just use that instead of actually passing it through each one of them. And that's it. So that's all. So I'm actually going to create another video about installing the SQL Server as well. So if you like this video and if you think it's helpful, please share it and do subscribe, because I'm going to upload more videos, something like this, just to make your life easier. And especially those people who are just into something like this. And so thank you for watching. Hope to see you